Sugar and spice. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Sugar and Spice ASMR. Today I'm doing a little makeup tutorial for you, and it's going to be starting from the very bottom with BB cream. On an everyday basis, I just use a BB cream since I don't want full coverage and a too heavy makeup look. I like to put BB cream on with my fingers because I feel that it really helps warming up the product and really get the product to adhere. Normally I would get my hair out of the way, but I couldn't find my elastic bands, so that's why I didn't. Also, I decided that even though I was going to do this voiceover, I would keep the original audio of the video because the ambient sounds of the makeup products and this right here, for example, might be quite triggering as well. Right now I'm just dabbing my skin lightly, making sure that the product really sticks. And of course the forehead. A little goes a long way with this product. I'm looking at my mirror just to make sure that everything looks okay. I try to combine the mirror and the screen as my mirror as well as I can. That's it for this step. I'm then going to continue with another BB product, my BB concealer. It's made especially for dark under eye circles and under eye bags. And it has this little roll-on which feels very soothing and nice to the skin since the sensation is a little bit cold. And right about now I ran out of this product. Bummer. Yeah, and even though it's made with the purpose to hide under eye circles, I like using it on other parts of my face as well. Especially if I have a little blemish breakout thing. It feels very soothing to get that cold sensation. And again, just lightly dabbing product, making sure that it adheres very well to the skin. Also, gently doing this to your skin will help increase the blood flow, which will rejuvenate your skin and leave you with a healthy glow to your face. So that's another reason I'm doing this. Plus, I find it very ASMR triggering myself, so hopefully some of you do too. Now you can see that I've cut a part out of this video, since it jumped right ahead to the next step. I've had to do that sometimes in this video in order to not scare you with some loud sounds, since I decided to keep the original audio of the video. I hope you don't mind. These are some of my makeup brushes, and just taking a little makeup brush from Gosh and applying some concealer to my eyelids. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it works like a primer for your eyeshadow. You can use any concealer, but I like the thicker, creamier ones like this one. This particular concealer is by W7. I absolutely love that brand. It's actually very cheap, but I found that most of the products are of very good quality. And I'm not picky about brands and stuff. As long as it's working for me, why not? So if I may give you an advice, it is to please don't go out and spend lots of money buying eyeshadow primer, when your concealer will do the trick perfectly, maybe even better in my opinion. I'm then going to lightly press this eyeshadow. Actually, it's a brow shadow, but hey, it's the same. Going to lightly press it onto the concealer. This will work like powder on foundation, and this way it won't crease. Also, it's nice to have a base color down that you apply the rest of your eyeshadow onto, so that it's applied to the same foundation of color. Because since your skin has many different tones, your color can come out looking very different if you don't build a foundation first. So what I've just showed you is that I have hooded eyelids, which means that if I just look straight ahead, you're not going to see my eyeshadow if it's just applied to the lower lid or the lower part of my lid and into the socket. Therefore, instead of applying color just right into the socket, I need to go above the socket, and where the color starts to show when I look straight ahead, that's where I'm supposed to stop applying color and start blending. So this is what I'm doing now, just very, very gently. I'm lightly touching the skin. I'm not using that much pressure because you might blend too much and your eyeshadow will end up in places it's not supposed to. So there is our foundation. Now we can start to build up some color, and I'm going for a blue look today. I'm taking this eyeshadow brush. They need to be clean, so I'm just wiping off any excess. Makeup for You, that's the name of the brand. And then we move over to this eyeshadow palette by Romeo and Julie, or Romeo og Julie. Again, it's just a very, very cheap product with many lovely colors. But I'm going to choose the bluest of the blue. I had my doubts about this eyeshadow palette, but when you do what I did by building a foundation of your concealer and pressing on the eyeshadow afterwards, these eyeshadow will last, and as you can tell, they will show up very pigmented, and it actually measures up with the more expensive products that I have. So this just goes to show that building a foundation for your makeup is pretty much the key to a lasting look. And like with the brown, I want to go above the socket. If I had a more visible socket, a more opened eye look, I would just place the color right in the socket. since I don't, and because I still want the eyeshadow to actually show, I'm doing this technique. As you might be able to tell, it's kind of a dome-shaped technique. And it works really well with hooded eyes, no matter how hooded they are. Hooded eyes come in many different shapes and sizes. They're not just hooded. It's very individual. So just look straight ahead in your mirror, and where you can actually begin to see your eye shadow on your lid, that's when you stop and start blending, like I'm doing now. But you have to apply the eyeshadow up on the hooded part of your eye in order for it to show. But how far up is different from person to person. Remember to always blend very well. This technique is of course great also if you don't have hooded eyes. Just wanted to mention that. Well, basically you can do what you want anytime, but it's nice to have little tips and tricks. So I'm just applying a little bit more to my right eye in order to make it a little bit more even with the left. You may feel like it's blended way up high, since it's like it's almost touching the eyebrow, but believe me, it's what you're supposed to do. If you want, you can stop here, but I like to add a little bit more depth to the color. So I'm going in, choosing a color from this hot makeup palette, which is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all time. The colors are so vibrant and just gorgeous. I'm of course going in with a deep blue. As you can tell, it's also very shimmery, so it'll add a little sparkle to your matte eyeshadow if you like that. I'm just using the same brush as before, dabbing off the excess and lightly dabbing this on to my lower part of the lid and working it up and blending it in with the first blue color. It'll give a little bit of a gradient effect. And I like that effect. really, really adore this blue color. I think I'm going to do more of this in the future, working with blue makeup. I think it's suiting me quite well. That's what I wanted to say. As you can tell, I'm dabbing it on and not sweeping it over the eye because that would kind of ruin what I've done so far and smear out the colors. Now it's okay to sweep a little bit with your blending brush as long as you're being careful and not using too much pressure. We don't want any harsh lines, so blend away. Also, to some people it may seem like we use way too much product, but if we want depth and if we want our look to last all day, building up the makeup in layers is the way to go. And it's not because I'm applying that much product. Just what I find is needed. So that's why after I've blended a little bit, I'm going in with another little layer of color and blending again. It's totally up to you how deep of a color you want and what your preferences are. Then I'm taking the same brush that I used to apply the blue, and with whatever is left on it, I am putting a little bit under my lower lash line. And kind of connecting it to the color up on my eyelids and fading it into that color. Then, taking the first brush that I used for the brown, I'm going in with the product that is still left on that and kind of smoking the blue up a little bit and creating a little bit of depth, if you want, by adding that brown shadow I used as a base. I then want to highlight just a little bit under my brows. I don't want that much shimmer, so I'm just choosing one of the lightest eyeshadows in this palette and using very little of it and applying it right under my brows. It's not going to pop and look very bold or anything. still give a little hint of highlighter. Now we're moving on to eyeliner. I normally don't use eyeliner on an everyday basis, but for this look, I found that it was appropriate. And as you can tell, it's just a very discreet little line. I'm not overdoing it, and I'm not making a wing. Just doing this to slightly emphasize my lashes, making them look longer and even create more depth to the blue color and more of that gradient effect going from dark to lighter. Then with this little smudge brush, I'm taking this black eyeshadow and smudging the eyeliner out a little. The eyeliner out a little. Don't know if I said eyeshadow, I meant eyeliner. Because I am going for a smoky eye, so I don't want any harsh or defined lines or edges. Smudging it out as much as I can, and I did a little bit more smudging, but I had to cut that out in order to not scare you with a loud bark from the neighbor's dog. But I smudged it out a little bit more, and then I'm applying my blue color again, just because I don't want that deep blue to get lost. Now I'm doing this on the waterline. For me, this tickles so much, and I always feel like sneezing doing this. But I managed to do this without a sneeze. I'm just closing my eyes and kind of running it back and forth to eyeline the upper lid a little bit on the wet line. Then with that same smudging brush and the product left on it from before, I'm smoking this line up a little bit. Also, I'm helping the eyeliner to stay on, since this is a powder product, so it'll lock that eyeliner in place. Then I'm just cleaning up a little bit. Using a cotton pad. I'm not rubbing, just gently touching. again, I'm going in with the concealer that I used on my eyelids and the little brush. And I'm going to use it as kind of a eraser. This will erase if there's been any fallout from your eyeshadow. So a little bit of product, and then I'm taking just a makeup sponge and dabbing the product on, but also it's getting rid of any fallouts. It might make my under eye area look a little bit light or pale, but later on I'm going in with a bronzer to warm up my skin tone, and that'll help. And then taking this sheer loose powder W7 product and lightly pressing the product on with this makeup sponge, just the places that I've concealed or places that I feel needs a little bit extra powder, like a little blemish. And it just started to rain. I was wondering if you could hear it. Then taking my Real Techniques buffing brush, and then with a stippling motion I'm going to powder the rest of my face, but like I said, I don't want a heavy cakey look or just very covered look, so I'm not using that much powder. And that's also why I'm doing this with a fluffy brush and not the makeup sponge, for example. Just stippling it on and then kind of making sure to fade it out at the edges around my face. And then staying with my buffing brush and moving over to bronzer. I've had this bronzer for ages. It's been one of my favorites. It says blondes on the lid, but it works perfectly for me, a brunette as well. Again, stippling it on and not rubbing it because I don't want to ruin or smear out what I've already done. with the BB cream and the powder. And as you can see, this just gives a very, very natural looking glow. And I'm not contouring or anything, I'm just touching the points on my face that the sun would naturally hit. And I think this also is warming up my skin tone under my eyes. Like I said. So in my opinion, you should use bronzer where the sun would naturally hit you and not where anyone else says to use it. There might be guidelines and they're good, but I think it's very important to follow your natural features. And I want to emphasize those features just a little bit more, so that's why I'm going in with this highlighter, Merry Luminizer from the Balm. It's so shimmery, so that's why I didn't use it under my eyebrows, because I didn't want that much highlight there. But still want a nice dewy, healthy looking glow. So I simply touched the higher points of my face, like above the brows and down the nose, on the top of my cheeks, my cupid's bow, and a little bit on my chin. Now, many people, especially people with hooded eyelids, don't do that much effort to their eyelashes. And I believe that is such a shame, because you can really create a look of a bigger and more open eye. In my opinion, I definitely need to curl my lashes first, because otherwise they just go straight out, and I want the look to be more opened. I think this makes the hugest difference. So I'm not neglecting my eyelashes. I'm using this Oh So Waterproof mascara by W7. That's the name of it, Oh So Waterproof. And I'm building up the layers a little bit, so I'm not applying too much product at once. Just one little layer at a time, and then moving over to the other eye. And then just applying a little bit of mascara to the bottom lashes. I don't like using too much. My eyes tend to water very easily, so I don't like to use too much under my eyes. Then taking this brow palette and a Real Techniques angled brush. Going to apply just a little bit of color to the brush and gently brushing this through my eyebrows. I'm going for a very natural look, not too defined. And as you can tell, I have very wide eyebrows, so I don't need to fake it and draw on eyebrows where there isn't any. I just need to kind of fill in the gaps a little, just making the look a little bit more polished and defined. Onto the lips. I rarely use lip liner, and this one is actually a product that I at first regret buying because it's a little bit too light, but it works well if you're just going for a nude lip look, which I am today, because I want my eyes to be in focus. So I'm just using this clear, shimmery lip gloss from Gosh. At first I thought it was a little too much, but then, as you can tell, I used my fingers to kind of blend it in with the lip liner, and then it came out quite okay, I think. Wasn't too sure at the beginning, but well, I normally wear a dark lip color, so maybe I just needed to get a little bit used to it. Anyway, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. And let's see each other again soon on my channel. Take care, you guys.